Vail. This is vailychat.
Before we jump into the deep end today, we really need to get the vocal cords ready. Ready for this?
Oh, always ready. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Do, re, mi.
Do-re-mi.
Perfect. Well, welcome to the deep dive. And today is Thursday, April 30, 2026.
Right.
And a historic global energy crisis is basically about to crash directly into a local Colorado traffic jam. I mean, you're probably prepping for your day right now or, just looking to catch up quickly on what is actually happening in the world.
Yeah, without feeling totally buried by the sheer volume of information out there.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack the Eagle Valley operational analysis.
And we are pulling from a lot of different sources today. Local municipal records, CDOT logistics, National Weather Service data, and international news wires.
Right. So, okay, let's unpack this. Because the core theme really jumping out of the data today is collision. You've got extreme local physical environments colliding with massive global economic shifts on this exact day. And the through line for all of this starts, well, right outside the front door.
With the immediate physical environment. The weather.
Yeah, because out here, the weather doesn't just dictate, what jacket you wear, right? It dictates the entire operational reality of the regional economy.
It is the absolute baseline. If the weather is off, everything is off.
And right now, that baseline is experiencing some severe whiplash because the National Weather Service is forecasting this late season spring system. It's set to dump up to 15 inches of new snow on the high alpine corridors tonight.
Which sounds amazing for skiers, but...
Right. 1.25 feet of snow dropping on the last day of April.
But what's fascinating here is what the data tells us beneath that headline. If you look closely at the regional monitoring reports in our sources, they explicitly state that this 15-inch dump won't move the needle.
Yeah, and I read that and immediately scratched my head wait, how does 15 inches of snow not move the needle for a region built entirely on the ski industry?
Because, you really have to look at the historical deficit. The region is staring down a 41-year record snowpack deficit.
Oh, wow, 41 years.
Yeah. The local SNOTEL telemetry data absolutely confirms this.
Let me stop you there for just a second. SNOTEL. I see that acronym pop up in weather reports all the time. But what exactly is that measuring? I mean, is it just a guy with a yardstick up on the mountain?
Not quite. So SNOTEL stands for snow telemetry. It's this automated system of remote weather stations scattered across the high mountains.
Okay.
And they don't just measure the physical depth of the snow. They actually use these pressure-sensing pillows on the ground to measure the snow water equivalent.
Oh, that's really cool. So it tells them the liquid content.
Exactly. It tells water managers exactly how much actual liquid is locked up in the ice. And, well, the SNOTEL data for this region right now is pretty grim.
Yeah, the sources mentioned Vail Mountain, right?
Right. It shows that Vail suffered its earliest total meltdown in recorded history all the way back on March 31.
March 31. That is incredibly early.
It is. The situation was so dire, they were forced to completely terminate lift operations way back on April 8.
So, I mean, it's like someone handing you a massive glass of water right after you've already packed up your camp and left the desert.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it.
It's a great storm, but the season is functionally over. So if the major resorts like Vail and Beaver Creek are already closed, what does the snow actually do for the local economy right now?
For most operators, not much. But there is one exception in the sources, Copper Mountain.
Oh, right. They are the sole regional operator actively bucking the trend here.
They are enacting what the sources call a tactical extension through May 3.
Yeah, to capitalize on this bizarre weather whiplash, they're hosting the Copper Sensation finale this weekend and offering $49 lift tickets for this final week.
Which is brilliant. It's serving as a vital psychological and economic pressure valve for the entire community.
$49 is crazy cheap nowadays.
It is. But you have a valley full of locals who feel totally cheated by this 41-year low snowpack. They're frustrated. So by staying open, Copper gives all that pent-up energy a place to go.
That makes total sense. Okay, so we've got tourists and locals rushing to Copper Mountain for the steel, but getting there is about to be a complete nightmare.
Because the physical infrastructure is under severe strain. Yeah.
Right. And here's where it gets really interesting, because if we look at the physical roadblocks, specifically Glenwood Canyons, things are a mess.
The canyon is restricted to just 50% capacity right now.
Yeah, due to the 2026 Bridge Joint Improvement Project. And the sources give us some highly specific logistical hurdles drivers are facing. Westbound traffic is reduced to a single lane near Hanging Lake.
That's right around mile marker 124, right?
Yep, mile marker 124. And then eastbound traffic is squeezed down to one lane near Shoshone at mile marker 123.
And they have a strictly enforced 35-mile-per-hour speed limit through those work zones, plus an 11-foot zero-width restriction in place.
Which is huge for commercial traffic.
Absolutely. Think about the local economy there.
Yeah.
It relies heavily on oversized construction materials, heavy earth-moving equipment. If you're hauling a 12-foot wide bulldozer to a site, you literally cannot fit through that canyon right now.
You'd have to reroute hundreds of miles.
Yeah.
But while the physical roads are literally being torn up and restricted, the local leadership landscape is changing just as drastically.
You're talking about the coroner's office.
Yes. Coroner Cara Bettis. She has been serving the county since 2002. That is a massive 24-year run. And she has suddenly withdrawn her candidacy for re-election.
A huge loss of institutional memory.
Yeah. And Democrats are now planning to appoint Claire Noble to the ballot. But I have to ask, if the canyon is the blocked artery of the valley, it feels like the local government is undergoing a heart transplant. What does a massive leadership exit like Bettis's mean for a region that is already operating at 50% logistical capacity?
Well, communities rely heavily on that institutional memory. Losing a 24-year veteran in local government during a period of intense environmental and infrastructure stress is risky.
Especially when CDOT estimates every hour of canyon closure costs the regional autonomy $1 million.
Exactly. If there's an accident in that 35-mile-per-hour zone during this 15-inch snowstorm, the coroner has to clear the scene. A veteran knows the exact multi-agency protocols to get that done quickly. Without that experience, the region is operating with a significantly diminished safety net.
Right. And every extra hour that highway is closed is another $1 million lost.
Exactly.
Man. So from the local roads, we really need to zoom out in this deep dive because the snowplows idling on the highway, the tourists driving to Copper Mountain, they all rely on global energy markets.
And those markets are experiencing their own massive historical pivot today.
Big time. The biggest global headline from the sources today is that effective tomorrow, May 1st, the United Arab Emirates will officially leave OPEC.
Which is a monumental move.
It really is. It strips the oil cartel of its third largest producer and will massively impact global energy projections.
Now, it's important to mention that this energy shift is happening alongside some highly politically charged events mentioned in the sources.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I want to pause and explicitly state to you, the listener, that the sources outline things like U.S. Central Command preparing strike plans on Iran, and President Trump ending a DHS shutdown.
Right, and we must be crystal clear. Here we are, neutrally reporting these political facts strictly as they appear in the source materials.
Exactly. We are absolutely not taking any partisan sides whatsoever. We're just looking at these facts to explain the global market instability.
That's right. It's just objective data analysis.
Okay, so what does this all mean? It's like pulling a massive load-bearing pillar out of the world's economic basement. How does an international cartel breaking apart actually hate the average listener trying to navigate Glenwood Canyon?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's all about fuel.
Yeah.
The UAE's exit destabilizes the very fuel that runs the Eagle Valley's infrastructure.
Because they can just pump oil at will now, right?
Yes. They aren't bound by OPEC's quotas anymore, which introduces profound volatility into the market. And from the diesel in the construction equipment repairing the bridge joints at mile marker 123, to the cost of a flight bringing tourists and global energy fracturing makes local logistical friction infinitely more expensive.
And harder to solve. If fuel costs spike, getting plows out to clear that 15 inches of snow suddenly blows up the municipal budget.
Precisely. It is all connected.
Wow. Okay, so just to quickly summarize the journey of our deep dive today. We started with 15 inches of snow hitting a functionally closed resort except for Copper Mountain extending to May 3.
Right.
Then we navigated those 35-mile-per-hour work zones in Glenwood Canyon, talked about local political retirements with Coroner Bettis stepping down after 24 years, and ended up at the fracturing of a global oil cartel with the UAE leaving OPEC.
And for you, the listener, being a truly well-informed learner means recognizing that a local bridge repair in Colorado and the United Arab Emirates' economic policies are intimately connected. They're parts of the exact same system.
They really are. And I want to leave you with one final intriguing nugget from the Apr30 sources to mull over on your own today. It's the Edwards Eminent Domain Resolution.
Oh, this one is fascinating.
Right. So Eagle County commissioners just unanimously passed a resolution to possibly use eminent domain to forcefully acquire a disputed half-acre private parcel in Edwards for future park use.
Just half an acre.
Just a tiny half-acre plot of land. So here's the thought I want to pose to you. In a mountain valley that is completely surrounded by millions of acres of vast national forest, why is a tiny half-acre plot of private land so incredibly vital that the government is willing to use eminent domain to seize it?
It's a great question.
Think about what that says about the true scarcity of usable space. Just because there's open land doesn't mean it's functional space for a community.
Space is at an absolute premium.
Well, that's our deep dive for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to explore this with us.
It's been great. Stay curious out there.
We'll see you next time.